So Sean had a special request, so here we go. This is how I'm going to do all my videos now. Not sure why he wants to see this, but that's the way it's going to be. So after I had this cubicle epiphany, as I like to call it, I started looking into all kinds of different things. Essentially, I started questioning all of the assumptions that I had taken for granted until then, because that experience made me realize that happiness and your sort of inner state is not necessarily attached to what's happening out there. Because, as I say in the video, there's nothing changed externally, but I felt so different inside. So I started looking into basic questions like what is happiness. I started doing almost like an inquiry into values, and then I started blogging about it as well, and sort of using writing as a tool for processing what I was learning and what I was going through. Inner peace was a huge reward in and of itself, because I was historically a very angry guy. I had a really bad temper, and I used to get worked up about things, and that doesn't feel good. Even back then, I knew it wasn't good for me. But once I had that epiphany and I felt that inner stillness or inner peace, I was like, well, I want more of that, and I want to make sure I don't lose it or that I can always get it back. And so that's what triggered a lot of my research into happiness, and that brought me into learning about the human mind and Stoic philosophy and all that. So, but yeah, the biggest benefit for me has been the absence of anger, bitterness, jealousy, any negative feelings that I used to experience on a regular basis. Those things went away. I would say 95% of them went away, and and they still pop up. You can never achieve perfect peace, I don't think, but anyways, I haven't achieved it, and but even getting 95% of those negative emotions gone is pretty awesome.
Hold, please.
You shouldn't have stopped recording.
I didn't.
Oh, you did? Awesome.
No, still recording.
Okay.
Okay, so you said that you can't ever stay, that inner peace can't be maintained forever. So explain that.
Because it involves work, and it involves being present and mindful, and this meat bag that I call my body is, sometimes it gets tired and sometimes it gets lazy, and sometimes, it's not focused on those principles and those mental exercises that you need to do every day, not only every day, every minute of every day, in order to maintain peace in the face of all circumstances. So if you're not always alert, if you're not always on the ball, which I am not always on the ball, you're going to slip, you're going to, fall back. You're going to get mad about things that you shouldn't get mad about, or, whatever. So that's why I say, for me at least, 95% or 90% or however much, you don't have to put a number on it. But the amount that I've experienced is a significant reduction in inner turmoil, inner suffering. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. You have to make it a part of your everyday life every single day. You can't go one day without it, and if you do, you're going to notice it. You're going to be more prone to negative thinking, or whatever your problems were before that you were trying to fix. You're going to slide back into those problems if you don't keep up your practice. And just like physical exercise, right? I mean, if you want to get strong, or if you're rehabbing something, let's say, because I think initially I wasn't getting stronger, I was rehabbing from all the years of terrible fucking living I'd been doing, right? Like, negative patterns of thinking, irrational beliefs, unexamined opinions and assumptions. When you're clearing those out, that's almost like physical rehab in your mind, right? So if you're in rehab from a physical injury, you've got a really bad injury, and you either don't go to rehab or you skip days, you're going to notice it physically. Your back's going to be sore. You're going to, maybe you're going to throw it back. You're going to, regress. So it's the exact same mentally. There's so many different metaphors, right? So you could use the garden one, where you're uprooting these old shitty ideas that you didn't even know were there, because weeds just pop up everywhere. I mean, you look at our backyard, I'm always ripping them out and they're always popping up. And so, you know, I'm better in here than I am in our yard. I'm sure you can attest to that, Candace. When a negative idea or an irrational idea or belief pops up in your mind, or you find it in your garden in your mind because you're in there, right? You're watching your thoughts. You see one pop up, you yank it out right away and you try to get it from the roots up. so it doesn't pop up again. So yeah, the garden analogy, the fitness analogy, there's a lot of different ways you can talk about it and symbolize it, but it all comes down to your inner practice or your inner strategy for living. There's a thousand paths in spirituality or self-help or self-improvement. There are a thousand paths to physical fitness. You can do CrossFit, which I don't recommend. You can, you can lift heavy weights. You can do HIIT workouts. You can do band work. You can do martial arts. You can hit the punching bag. So, and all of these things contribute to your fitness. So my biggest piece of advice is don't limit yourself to any one path or practice or or solution. Start doing research. And as you find things that work for you, that make sense for you, follow them. And they're going to lead you to more things that have similar impacts. So for me, it started with Stoic philosophy. Then I got into Taoism, Hinduism. All of these philosophical traditions were very similar, but they approach it from different perspectives. They use different imagery. And so you can't reinforce these things enough. I don't have a path. I walk all the paths. So, and that's what works for me. So I'm a cherry picker. Like I'll study Stoic philosophy. I take everything that I love. There are things I don't like. I don't take them, and then I move on to the next path. And I'm like, this works, this works, this works. And the crazy part is all the stuff that works is in you find it in multiple paths. So that's another way that you can know in my method anyways of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. If I've seen it before a number of times in Buddhism and Taoism and modern cognitive behavioral therapy, it's the same idea, just expressed slightly differently. I know there's something to it, so I'm going to look into it and I'm going to try to put it into practice and see if it works for me, right? That's not how I started. And in fact, I was repeating mantras in my mind. That was one of the earliest things that I did. And the first mantra I think was cultivate. What was it?
Positive thought.
Yeah, cultivate positive thoughts. So every morning I'd walk to work, and I would just repeat that in my mind and try to be mindful of my surroundings while I was doing it. And so you can like brainwash yourself in a way, right? If mantras are great for that. So make it a practice to repeat a little sentence or a maxim or
Affirmations.
affirmations. Yeah, exactly. Anything like that that basically you're planting seeds in your mind, right? So that's what the garden analogy is great. You just keep putting these seeds in your mind, and eventually, if you water them enough, they're going to grow, and then you're going to have those types of thoughts automatically. You're not going to have to make as much of an effort to cultivate them. They're just going to start growing on their own. But at first, you have to make it a mission to plant a lot of seeds. Yeah. So there you
Awesome. Stay tuned, guys.
go. Thanks, Dave.
Come back. Come find your path.
Yeah.